Good morning, I'm Sean Yao, and this is One News Now. President Duterte granted the appeal of healthcare workers to reimpose modified enhanced community quarantine in Metro Manila and other nearby provinces as COVID-19 cases in the country continue to rise. To give us the details, we have News 5's Maricel Halili joining us live. Mase, what exactly are the areas that will be under MECQ starting tomorrow?
Yeah, Sean, like what you said, President Duterte approved to place Metro Manila under modified enhanced community quarantine starting midnight of August 4. Aside from NCR, Bulacan, Rizal, Laguna, and Cavite will also be placed under MECQ for 15 days. In a taped public address last night, President Duterte agreed to give financial aid to COVID-hit frontliners. Chief Implementer Carlito Galvez initially proposed to give health workers 10,000 pesos each, which the president approved and said it is okay to increase it to 15,000 pesos. The government also considers to call on military reservists to help in COVID-19 response. One of the reservists that the president is eyeing is his own daughter, Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte, who is a colonel in the military. Despite the president's statement heeding to the call of medical frontliners for time out, he seemingly left a warning to his sector. He dared the frontliners to make a revolution, emphasizing that it will just destroy the country. The president said what the frontliners are doing is not criticizing but demeaning the government. Although, let me clarify that, Sean, because President Duterte also acknowledged the difficulties that our frontliners are now facing because of, well, obviously there's a lack of manpower. But just like his previous statement, President Duterte has once again defended Health Secretary Francisco Duque and said that the cabinet secretary is doing his job and nobody can prepare in this kind of pandemic. Sean?
All right, Mase, but what would this actually mean for us here in Metro Manila as well as those in the greater Metro Manila area like Bulacan, Laguna, Cavite, and so on? Should we expect, again, some banks to close? We do have the omnibus guidelines that was last amended on July 16. What other differences? People have been asking me, what can we expect from this MECQ? Should it be, should they expect the same thing as what happened the last MECQ, or would things be a little bit different this time around?
Sean, as we all know, the government has been changing every now and then the guide.
Okay, I think
Released by the IATF, probably under MECQ, um, exercise outside or workout on outdoors will only be limited to jogging, biking, and walking. There won't be any contact sports, or non-contact sports are still not allowed. If we will follow the original guidelines, there won't be any dine-in. In restaurants, gatherings will only be limited to 5 people only. In every event, there won't be any non-essential travels. Spiritual gatherings will also not allowed once again in these specific areas, and there won't be any public transportation once again if we follow the original omnibus guidelines released by the Interagency Task Force. But like what I said, IATF has been changing the guidelines every now and then, so we still have to clarify it from Secretary Roque in his briefing this afternoon.
all right, so I think a lot of things and a lot of questions of everybody would still have to be clarified. No public transportation until, I guess, this is lifted on August 18. What about back riding on motorcycles? I was reading on Twitter earlier, Mase, that a lot of people were being apprehended for pillion riding or yung mga umaangkas sa likod. Would this also change under MECQ as per the July 16 guidelines?
Sean, we still have to clarify that from Secretary Roque in his briefing this afternoon. Because if we recall, during the first time that we have implemented MECQ in Metro Manila, backriding is not allowed. They just allowed it following the appeals of motorcycle riders and some couples to allow because of difficulties in riding public transportation. But if we based it from previous implementation of MECQ, even public transportations are not allowed. So there are some gray areas that we still need to clarify.
All right, more questions than answers at this time. Thank you very much for that update, Maricel Halili. And based on the latest omnibus guidelines on community quarantine, which was amended last July 16, as we have been mentioning, strict home quarantine shall be observed in all households during the modified ECQ. Movement of all residents shall still be limited to accessing essential goods and services and going to work if any permitted or in any permitted establishment. Selected manufacturing and processing plants can operate up to 50% of capacity, and public transportation will not be allowed starting August 4. Face-to-face classes at all levels are likewise suspended. Government offices in MECQ areas will implement skeletal operations. And here are other stories we're keeping our eyes on. The President has approved the hiring of additional healthcare workers to augment the current workforce, including hiring 10,000 medical professionals. Mayor Keith Nieto announced that Cainta residents are now required to wear face shields when going to wet markets and grocery stores. Nieto added that operation of gyms and fitness centers as well as internet cafes are not allowed in Cainta, despite the approval from the IATF. And the MRT3 will be suspending operations from August 4, that is tomorrow, to 18 as Metro Manila shifts to MECQ. For more updates, follow News 5, The Philippine Star, and Business World online. Visit our website, onenews.ph, for more in-depth analysis. You can also catch One News on the Signal Play app. Register for a free account now at www.signalplay.com and stream One News Live anytime, anywhere. I'm Sean Yao, and we are One News.